Hey there, welcome to my channel. Today what I have for you is the full review of the Pioneer DDG Rev 5. Now, this is the third installment in the Rev series. Now, what the Rev series basically means is battle style. So, of course, you have the Rev 1, which is the budget friendly, it's about $260 US. Then you have the almighty Rev 7, which I've used a bit at the club I play at. It's great. It's got the spinning platters and all of that. But if I'll be honest, I never grew up playing on turntables. Yes, I do love the spinning platters. It feels good. But I've always loved the CDJ platters. And so we have the Rev 5, which has all the bells and whistles. Well, not all, but most of the bells and whistles of the Rev 7. But with static, actual CDJ mechanical jug wheels. I love these. They feel much better than an SX or an SZ, all those series. I just love these actual CDJ jug wheels. They don't have screens and fancy displays, but they work fine. So let's start off the review. We'll go from the back. Of course, you have all your major outputs. We have your Balance XLR. That's your master and unbalanced RCs, and we have your balanced quarter inch. Those work fantastically well. Now, something that's brand new here is USB Type C to Type C. So, of course, most new MacBook Pros and most laptops, even Windows that you would use, would have USB Type C cables. That's usually what they would come with. And this is great because it's USB Type C to Type C. It lessens the latency and it's future proof. This is great to see. Of course, this doesn't have inputs in the way of like your Rev 7, where you would have inputs for external devices, be it turntables or CD players. But there is an aux input, which we do have the volume for. And the front here, you have your off. You could turn it on and to line, and then there's a boost if you're using maybe a phone or an iPad to play music through. We also have your mic 1 and 2. There's a quarter inch and a combo jack, and I must say these mics sound pretty good. You have your EQ in front. It's a shared EQ. There's your off, on, and talk over switch, and they do sound good. I would give you a bit of a little demo of how the mic sound. Could have had an echo. I think it could have been room for an echo on it, or delay, as some people would like, but they do sound good. And one thing I was wondering after watching all the reviews, you do see the mic input in Serato. So if you're streaming, or if you even want to record your set with your mic on Serato, you get that audio input right there. That is absolutely great. No worries. So they're individual volumes for mic 1 and 2, and they're attenuators in the back, which now I would suggest you probably turn these up a bit and just use the volume in front here. Let's turn these all the way up and just use the volume in front here. And of course, last but not least, I know a lot of reviewers, a lot of persons over the years have criticized Pioneer for the type of power cables. You can no longer say that. This is now a USB Type C power cable, 45 watt. What does that mean is that you could use basically any laptop charger, even an iPad charger, even a phone charger to power this up. It takes 45 watts, and wow, it is amazing. That USB Type C power is definitely a game changer. So we're gonna get into the individual decks now. On a usual CD player, you would see your play, pause, and cue on the left hand side, but of course these are mimicking turntables. And while in the Rev 7 with that spinning platter, you only have a play, pause, you do actually have a cue and a play, pause. You do actually have a cue and a play, pause button. I really love this here. The Q button is actually quite small, but it works fine. I think the idea is that you'll be using the Q button much less on this than on, let's say, traditional FLX series player or typical CDG, you know. So that's the idea there. The jog wheels are full size, they're mechanical, and to check if they're mechanical, they even have the jog feel. I love the jog feel. So you can tilt it all the way if you just want just a little bit, you know, you don't want too much. But if you want to go the full distance, and you can hear that, you actually hear it spinning. Full mechanical jog wheels. I like to leave it somewhere in the middle, or just about 1 or even 10. You know, I like it kind of halfway. These are amazing. The scratching on these are great. I really must say that. You don't have much in the way of, as I said, screen. You just have your marker, your cue marker. This tells you where you are going wrong, and the track in terms of the deck that's playing, whether it's deck 2 or deck 4. As you can see, even though it is just 2 lines, it is actually a 4 deck controller. So you have controls over deck 2 and 4, and those are what's displayed here on the screen. And I don't know, I'm hopeful that Pioneer would probably have an update sometime in the future, a firmware update, where it might be maybe a BPM also, because seeing that it's all the space around, all of this has to be a screen, I'm thinking there could be room for something else to be there. You never know, maybe in the future. This essentially is your deck section. I love the feel of these kind of old school, the rounded, the circle edges of the platter. Kind of brings you back to that real old school CDG style, CDG 1000, 2000, that kind of era. But yeah, these certainly do feel great for scratching, for pitching and everything. It's wonderful. So before we get on top, we'll get to the mixer section now. Right off the bat, at the front of the mixer, you have your crossfader curve and your reverse on and on switch. Now these, as I say, mimic battle style turntables with mixers, in this case CDJs with mixers. So I must say the crossfader on this is absolutely wonderful for scratching. Let me just get a little bit of taste. Yeah, the cutting distance is absolutely perfect, and the feel of it. Now, while some persons might say I rather do Rev 7, you can adjust the crossfader feel. I'll be honest with you, it's something I very rarely touch. So I think they made this feel. It's nice and loose, but not too loose. It's just right. I love my up faders to have a bit of, you know, resistance, and these certainly do. These aren't up faders to scratch with. No, they're not. They're just, you know, nice and smooth to mix with, to blend with. Even though it's a scratch mixer, I think mixing with these up faders will be a joy. So there is also your sample volume, which I do love. So it's always good to have a sample volume knob here, because I hate fiddling. You have to go inside of Serato and fiddling with it to get the sample volume going. I just dislike that totally. So it's really nice to have your sample volume right here. We do have our meters, and of course we do have our master and individual line meters here. You know, I really like that. Yeah, let me see what's going on. Okay, so really nice meters here. And of course, if you're in the red, it means you're dead, right? So the metering system is perfect. Keep close eye on that whenever you're DJing. So we're getting on to the pad section, and there's a trick that you can do. Now usually, so there's a hot cue, your roll, your save loop, and your sampler. And of course below that we have our pitch play. We also have the brand new piano play mode. You know, you have your save loops and you have your sampler, and your scratch bank. Below save loops you have your stems as well. Now usually you would have to hold shift and your hotkey or your roll or whatever to access those secondary options, but you could go into the utility of the Rev 5 and change it whereby you can just click through it, so you don't have to be pressing shift every time if you want to get to your, let's say, your stems or whatever. You really don't have to. You could just click through it.
My girl come flip it like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram. Make your bumper flip like a flipper, bum 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 bum. Flip it like a flippergram. Make your bumper.
Right, so that's perfect where you don't have to be pressing shift all the time. I want to get to piano play, I want to get to stems. You just click through it. I really like that. It's something that not a lot of persons speak about, but you could change that in the utilities of the Pioneer DJ Rev 5. Just check it, click the box, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, so like I said, we have your hot cue, your roll, your save loop, which I don't have any save loops, of course your sampler, and secondary option on the hot loop. You do have your pitch play, where you could go up and down. You can even change the octave. And we all know pitch play, you know, so a lot of people do tone play with it. It's nice, but the new kid on the block is, of course, your piano play mode, and this takes full advantage of all 16 pads. It has like a keyboard, so while with pitch play you just go up and down one octave. This keyboard, if you don't know anything about music, all you gotta do is just follow the notes, follow the white line, follow the notes. The blue represents the black keys, and of course you can't go up and down the same way like you would in pitch play. And then, so you could go very low, or you could go up and get high, and you can even go up and down on different major keys. And you could go up and down here again. And the good thing is that you always know the original key, because that one will be lit up in red. I like it. I'm not a big tone play or pitch play guy, but I could see this making it even easier for a lot of people. Yeah, I could see it making it much easier for a lot of people. And of course you have your stems, which is just below save loop, so you don't have to switch out anything. And as I say, once you enable that feature where you could just go through, you know, it's really cool. So let's check out the stems a bit.
My girl come flip it like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram. Make your bumper flip like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram. Left girl wind up on my body, girl. Why like it's a carnival? The way you wine for me.
Yeah, so the stems work perfectly fine. Of course, your laptop does have to be up to date and has to have a good bit of RAM. And of course, below your sampler, you have your scratch bank. I don't have anything loaded up. Actually, the laptop I just bought is giving some trouble, so I'm using another laptop I had. So I had some scratch banks loaded up, but I don't have it there. But these are the pads. Now they're a bit smaller. I'm really accustomed to using the Rev 7, and they're slightly bit smaller, so you do have to get accustomed, but they are perfectly fine. They're very bright, very bright, responsive. I like how when you press them, you turn white as well. Kind of gives you a little indicator. So I really love that. Loving the pads on this mixer. Of course, you have your parameters where you could go through your parameters with whatever setting in, whether it's hot Q or sampler. You could go through your different parameters, your different pages. So I like that. And yeah, this mixer section is really nice. So you have your shift button, which enables all your other secondary functions, and we get on to the paddles. Now the paddles, of course, affect the mixer, and speaking of mixer, you could change your length of your effects here. So the paddles affect all the effects. When you push it up, it's locked in. If you pull it down, it's temporary. So let's get a little taste of what the effects. Of course, you will be using only software effects. There are no built-in hardware effects, which a lot of people say, you know, they don't like. They want to see built-in effects, but of course this is just purely a controller. This isn't for plugging in external this and that. This is purely a controller, and plainly I like it that way. I'm a controller guy. I like to make life easy. I do lots of weddings and stuff, and if I could just carry my controller, plug it and go, that's what I want. I don't want to have to plug in XYZ into this. Just my mic, and I'm good to go. So let's check out Serato's effects. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but let's check it out. So remember, when you push it up, it locks it down, locks it in, and when you bring it down, it does it temporarily. And of course, you can change your parameters in terms of how much beats you want your effect to be, and how much, you know, how wet or dry you want it to be as well. And of course, the best thing about them, they are post fader and post cross fader as well, which is just absolutely amazing. One thing I forgot to mention with the pads, and I would mention it with the effects as well. Now these have the ability to do combo pads. So combo pads meaning you could have any two of the main pad modes. So your hot Q, your roll, save loop, or sampler. And let's try the hot Q and sampler. And reason why I'm trying, especially this one, I don't really use Qs past 4. My first 4 Qs are usually the ones I use the most, and I like to use really my first 4 sampler. So my first 4 samples. So let's say it opens up a whole window. You could have your hot Q and your sample open there, and of course we have other buttons that we'll speak about soon, but these are just great in that it opens up your life. You could have your roll down here or up there, however you want it, like this for instance. That is just amazing. So this combo pad mode, something that they brought across from, I think, the S7 and the S11 and the likes. This just opens up a whole new world, and they didn't stop there. They brought it into the effects. So usually in Serato, you would choose one effect, that's delay, and you would choose one effect, and okay, you move on to the next one, right? That's a reverb. Now not only can you do 3 effects, because usually what we would do is these 3 effects for the left side, these 3 effects for the right side. You could have up to 6 effects selected, and not only that, you could have all 6 effects going at once. Now, it might sound crazy, but hear what that sounds like. Now, you could just go crazy with your effects. I just love the fact that you could have 6 effects going at once. However, I mean, you might just want to do 2. You might want to do a reverb and a delay. You know, with this you could create your own effect. You could have a flange and a phase, and you could do so much with this. It is amazing. I just love the fact that you have a combo pad mode where you can have effects, your samples and cue, or your roll and your cue, and you could just have it all. And you could also almost do the exact same thing or even more with the effects section. That is great. Absolutely fine. There's a 3-band EQ. It's full kill. Your lows, your mids, and your highs. It is full kill. So we also have our boot output and our master output. These sound pretty great. Of course, you have your obligatory filter. Full kill on the high end, which I love. And of course, you have your trim button to carry up your volume or take it down a bit. I love those. But there's also, before we get into this, of course, it is switchable between 2 laptops. You have your A and B. There's no in between because it is only a controller. But with our EQ, there is also a nice little trick to it. So these have stems EQ included. And how you activate your stems EQ? Now this one you have to hold on shift and you select which cue. I didn't get it. I didn't mention the cue buttons here. Sorry, but your stem EQ, you just hold on shift and select which side. Of course, we're on the left side, and you see it blink. So when we start turning the cue, you will notice it's blinking. So what we have is drums, melody, and bass in one because, of course, they couldn't do everything. And if you notice on the laptop and even on our stem section that we haven't got into yet, because I turned down this bottom one, it's gone. It's gone here as well. So you're not seeing drums because this is drums. And of course we're seeing the when we take off the melody and bass, it's removed here. It's removed on the laptop as well. It just looks great. Let's try it with vocals. And what you could also do this for is maybe a song might be a little top heavy with the bass, or the vocals might be a bit low. You might need to turn it up a bit more. You might want to turn up just the vocal. And why I also say this is good for DJs that work with artists as well. You might be working with an artist, so a lot of artists don't actually have the stems for their own music. So what you can do, you could create it on the fly. They're singing. You could create a TV track on the fly. You could say, okay, the chord is gonna sing along. Let me take down the volume. Let me take down the vocals. You could have it low to assist them a bit. So girl, just feel me like a flippergram. I'm right this moment. Come party, girl, like a carnival. The way you wine for me, your wine is so emotional. So wind up on my body, girl. See why you come wine your waistline for me. Yeah, that stem EQ is something that is a game changer right there. I absolutely love it. So your stem EQ, I'm really loving that. Now let's get on to the top section, and this is where all the fun is. First of all, let's get into some more stuff that's on each deck. You have your actually your selector here where you control your music that you're going through, go through your library. You have your load and your back button, and you also have, of course, when you double press load, you get into instant doubles. We all like that. We have your key. I love that they have buttons specifically for key changes. If you don't know what it does, here it is. So you could go up and down any key if you're mixing, if you're into that sort of thing. I don't mix by key, I generally mix by BPM. And of course you have your slip. Now once slip is activated, you could do whatever you want. You can even stop the track and it'll still be continuing. I just love slip mode. And of course your sensor. You know, you might have a track that you thought was clean, and when you listen to the headphones you realize it's not clean. And of course everything has the dual mode. If you hold on shift and press sensor, you just go in reverse. Yeah, you just go right back in reverse. So I love that. We have our looping controls. A lot of people prefer rotary where they press in, kind of like this, kind of like how we search through the library. But honestly, I prefer a physical button. And you could half and double the length. Just as easy as that. And you just press it and get out. I love that. I love the fact that you can just press it, get in, get out. You go up and down. That is perfect for me. So, the pitch slider, the pitch fader, I love it. It's a full length. It doesn't seem as long, probably because of where it is, but the most important thing for me is there's a physical click in the middle. Some persons like to have it lit up. I prefer physical click, so I know definitely when I'm at center. I just love that. We have our pitch range button. If you purchase this, you get Serato pitch and time, meaning so you could go from 8 plus 8 plus 16 plus 50 and plus 100. If you want to hear what plus 100 sounds like, here it is. And that's with key lock on. So you have your key lock on, you can turn it off, but I would suggest you keep it on. Let's get this back down to 8. And of course, your sync button. Who doesn't like the sync button, right? Who doesn't like it? I will get into a bit of this afterwards. Of course, one of the major things about this Rev 5 is the stems control. Now, there are two ways you can control your stems. It is here by default where, so you don't need to go into your pad modes to get your stems. I mean, if you want to access your stems effects, like the echo of the vocals, echo out of the instrumental, or the break, you will go here. But generally, how most people would use stems is they would either want to isolate them or take out a particular stem. So you can do that right here with these 4 dedicated buttons. So let's check out the stems at first. Let's try another track. I will take out the vocal. So you see it is working perfectly fine. Number one, ensure that your machine, your laptop is up to date, because Serato stems takes a lot of resources. Of course, this works on record box as well. The stems aren't quite the same, but it does work. You could just get your instrumental. So that's one way to use stems, but you could double click on the stems button. Let's get a full sound. you could double click. So if you just want to make a live remix, you might have an instrumental played on one side. Just double click on the stems, and once you see it turns red, that's stems isolation. So what that means is that whatever stem you press, it will be isolated. So let's just say we want to have the drums, the bass,
when every hand raise, we become one race.
and one thing I like about this as well, you could, if you're doing this, you could put a nice effect on your own stem.
So much
I just love that. So I really love this version of stems where you could do stem separation, or you could just have that one stem played. I just love it. I just love it. Yeah, so that is one thing with stems. Let me show you another trick with stems. So of course we know there is instant doubles if you press load, double tap load. But if you have one song played on this side and you want just the vocals on the other side, all you have to do is hold on stems and press vocal, and guess where the vocal will go?
No wasting time for it to jam on somebody. Hand up in the air. Beware, it didn't with DNA. To jump up, play a mass, wind up in the band. Free up, live your life. It's time to whatever you like. Boy, I
And with that, if you just want to put a bit of echo or something on the vocals, you could do that perfectly fine. It is great for mashups, for whatever. It is absolutely fine. I just love the implementation of stems on this. It is probably the best they've ever done. Now, apart from stems, and we're going to get into more stuff with stems very soon, but the good thing about the Rev series, the Rev 7 had this as well, where this was Scratch Bank. You could also use these buttons as hot cue, so they're very clicky, or you could have it as a Scratch Bank. And there are even two other options. When you, of course, you could hold shift and press it hot cue, and that will open up your save loops, or hold shift and press Scratch Bank and you have a sampler there. And of course your sample volume still works there. So you have so many options. You have stems, you have soloing of stems, you have your hot cue, your Scratch Bank, you have your save loop, and even your sampler. So effectively with these pads, you have endless options with your pad modes. It is just absolutely fantastic to work with. So what I'm gonna do now is show you how you could use your dual deck mode with stems, because in other Pioneer DJ equipment they have dual deck mode, but I really love the implementation of here because it's so simple and so easy. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's say you want to make a remix on the fly, right? How difficult will that be to pull off? With this controller, it is very easy. Of course, you have a stem separation, but also while we only have 2 faders, it is a 4-deck controller. So let me give you a little demonstration of what dual deck mode is like. So I have a loop running on the next side, right? Sounding good, sounding good. I'm making my own live remix. I have the vocal stems here, and I have this loop running here. So I'm gonna try to do this by memory. It's kind of failing me right now. So what I'm gonna do is take this vocal stems and put it across here, right? I think what I would have to do is stems and click load, and it should be on deck 3. Should be on deck 4, sorry. So if you realize, right? Now what I'm gonna do is hold shift and press dual deck. That is gonna lock them in. That just locked in this mix. So if you look at the laptop, you see they're locked in. They're locked in. That's deck 2 and 4. They're locked in. You can see it blinking there. They're both locked in. And what does that do is that frees up my hand. Now if I want to unlock them and this, if I want to do something else with the other track, I can just hold on shift and then press back dual deck, and of course they separate, right? And I'll switch between, right? But ideally this is what you want. So they're locked in there, and I have time now to mix in another song. Now if I want, I could keep this mix on this side going. And it is just so much you can do, so much you can do with that dual deck mode, where you can have both of them just sing together and running as a remix, and you can have your next deck free as ability to do whatever you want. It is just amazing. It is one of the best things about this Rev 5 that you can do. I just love it. So that's your dual deck mode. That's your deck shift. You can move your stems from this deck to the other. It's just amazing. It's quite simple to do. As I say, you just need to hold on shift, sorry, and send across your stem, whatever you have, to the next side, and then you hold shift and press the dual deck, and they'll be locked in together. So whatever you do on one will be happening on both. We're gonna get to one of the final features on this controller, and it's a feature that I love, but there also could be improvements. I watched a review where someone did say because it's done in beats or bars, this auto BPM transition, right, it could have been 4, 8, 16 and 32 bars. Because bars are, it's generally better if you're doing a transition track. You generally won't do it over 1 bar or 2 bar or something like that. But we have up to 8 bars for now. That's okay. I don't know if Pioneer DJ could do an update on it, but maybe sometime in the future. So I'm gonna show you what this auto BPM transition is like and who is it for as well. So I have 2 tracks here. I have one at 128 BPM and one at 110 BPM. So you're gonna think it's not impossible to mix them. It's 18 beats between them. Even if you put it on 50, it'll be easy. But sometimes you don't want to have to manually have to, put your range all the way to 50 or whatever, and it's so complicated to do. And also, there just might be other things that you want to include in the mix. There just might be other things that you want to include in the mix as well. So what I'm gonna do is show you what auto BPM transition is like and how it can make your life as a DJ, especially as an open format DJ, much easier. What I'm gonna do is move this one that is 110 up to 128 and mix them. So first of all, you have to hold on shift and select. So you can select how many bars you want to take for the transition to take. So we'll select 8 bars, which is a pretty decent amount of time. Next, what you can do is, once you hold on select, you could activate the loop. You could take out whatever stems. There's so much you can do. So what we're gonna do is leave the vocal stems. We're not gonna loop it or anything, and we're gonna do it. So I'm gonna play this one. So we set this on 8 bars to get to 120 BPM, okay? As soon as I hit this one, the both BPMs will match. Now that is even without sync being on. I don't think you need a sync being on there, and it just makes your work as a DJ so much easier. If you want to go from here and you want to take up the party to another notch, you don't have to wait 20 minutes to mix until you reach to that level. You can say, you know what, I'm doing my own transition right now, let's turn this up. Maybe someone has a request, and some people requests are just outlandish, but this could definitely take it up to a whole nother level, and it is just amazing. I must say, it is just really, really amazing. Auto BPM transition. I don't know what else to say about it, and you could go the other way as well. So we'll try it the other way. We'll go from 128 BPM. Let me just reset this, and we go down to 110 BPM. So let's go. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll hold on shift, click select, we'll carry to 8 bars, and we'll do the same. We'll take out the everything and leave the vocals. Auto BPM transition to 8 bars. We've taken off the bass, the drums, and melody. So let's try it. We're gonna press it. I'm gonna see the BPM. So you see, with that now, I had the ability while I was mixing. What I generally tend to do is press play on the other track while I press the start for the auto BPM transition. So you kind of start it off. If you have to make a little adjustments, but that frees up my hand. I could have done an effect there. I could do all sorts of stuff. This controller, that auto BPM transition, is definitely a game changer. The price for this is also game changer. I'm not a huge Pioneer DJ fan, I'll be honest with you. I really was looking at the reloop, Mix-on 8 Pro. I like the display in the jog wheels, but as soon as I saw this, I knew I had to have it. And the features that are in here, especially coming when I use Serato mainly, and of course using stems, it is just amazing. It is just amazing. So I must say, this controller has everything that you need, and I did promise you a sample of what the mic sounded like, so I'm gonna do that right now. So this here is a test of what the mic sounds like. Now, a lot of persons who have bought let's see, a Rain 4 have been complaining about the mic situation. This mic sounds pretty good. I turned up the bass a little extra. So let's try to talk. Wow, it works really, really well. It is almost as soon as it picks up a whisper of your voice. It works really great. This is great for mix show DJs. I'm telling you, this one is amazing. All you're missing on this is just a little bit of reverb or echo or something. I don't know, but yeah, definitely the talkover version of this is excellent. It is excellent. So one thing I forgot to mention as well, of course, you do have our headphones controls in the front. We have our 1/4 inch and your regular 3.5. There's a mix. There is no split cue. Some persons are concerned about that. What I'm really loving are these physical clicky cue buttons for your headphone monitoring. I don't like that fader kind of thing that you have on the Rev 7 and even those other mixers. So that is one of the reasons as well why I would choose this over Rev 7. I just think it's much simpler. You know, it's straightforward, and yeah, I just love this. Who is this controller for? It's for everyone. Let me don't lie. This controller is for open format DJs that do weddings and stuff. You need a good system where, okay, doing a birthday party, you could just carry this, 2 monitors and your mic or whatever speaker system. They could go straight into the XLR. The mic sounds great. Could do with a bit of reverb or echo, but it is amazing. I must say, I give this controller 2 thumbs up. What I'm gonna be doing soon is a versus the Rev 5 versus the Rain 4, and we're gonna see which one is better for Serato. Now, this does have a little trick up its sleeve, as it does come compatible with record box. It unlocks it. Now, if you do want to do everything else in record box, you do have to pay for a subscription, but it unlocks most of the stuff generally, and I do like that because I like trying out different software. You shouldn't just stick to one software. Rev 5 I would definitely recommend for all DJs out there who you're Serato head and you're looking for an upgrade. Maybe you have a 1000. This it may not have the screens in the middle, but it definitely is an upgrade from a 1000 or something like that, or an SX3 or anything. So check it out. You're future proof. You got your USB type C's, power and switchable, everything. Rev 5. Hope you enjoyed the review. Stay tuned for more right here on my channel.